When the world is full of wyverns, the legend is revived. Meat is eaten, bone is crunched, and blood is sucked up dry. He burns the earth and melts through iron. He boils the rivers and mows down trees. He awakens the winds and lights an inferno. He is called Fatalis, the wyvern of destiny. He is called Fatalis, the wyvern of destruction. Call for help, run for your lives, and don't forget to pray to the skies. He is called Fatalis, the wyvern of destiny. He is called Fatalis, the wyvern of destruction. Fatalis, Fatalis, heaven and earth are yours. Fatalis, Fatalis, heaven and earth are yours.
What you just heard is a folk song pertaining to Fatalis, a dragon of such legend, of such might, of such terror, that even to utter his name is said to bring ruin upon you and everything that you love. Fatalis, the black dragon, is the monster, the most powerful, the most fearsome, for all intents and purposes, a god walking the earth. He has carved himself a bloodied path through time, leaving misery, pain, violence, devastation in his wake. His home, a ruin of a once thriving civilization, he silenced with impunity. To speak Fatalis is to speak one of the darkest days of humanity. To speak Fatalis is to speak time itself, for some say he is immortal, an ever-present force of nature, as undeniable and ever-present as gravity itself. Or, to put it as the ace cadet, the excitable A-lister, so eloquently did.
So what we're up against isn't a monster, it's actually history.
And those chilling words could not be more true, for the last time Fatalis showed up, he ended a war that had been raging for so very long, a war twixt all elder dragons and the ancient civilization, a war that saw nearly all humans and all dragons alike extinct, a war that left a deep scar on the Monster Hunter world. Fatalis saw this war and he said, "No more. I abhor this war."
Yeah, let's just, break the whole tone of this and start rhyming.
He appeared in Castle Schrade and single-handedly devastated their armies, and to the last man cut down every single inhabitant. And thus Castle Schrade has remained a monument to misery, a pile of scorched stone and ash of which Fatalis proudly sits atop, alone and king, just as he would like it. Now there's a lot more to this tale, but I want to focus this around, well, Iceborne, the Fatalis that we will face. For last time, an entire civilization, an entire army could not stop him. So it is no wonder then that the guild is a little bit on the...
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
And it's no wonder they have gone to extreme lengths to make sure history does not repeat itself. They have sent a general, an as of yet unknown, person and rank, but high up in the guild, privy to their secrets, and someone who is in charge of, a lot of things. He is set out to the New World to recall the entire fleet to bring us all back to the Old World which is a little bit of a poetic way to bring an end to Iceborne, returning from the new world after spending our lovely years here. It's just so sad. It can't end. I don't have anything to do without Iceborne. And he is recruiting every single hunter to march to Castle Schrade to end this Fatalis, or at least this maybe Fatalis. The guild seem to be under the impression that there is likely a Fatalis stirring in Schrade, but they don't know for sure, and that's why they are, well, throwing everything they have there to prepare for it. It would explain why in the little snippets everyone seems to be really caught off guard by the Fatalis appearing. It would also explain why Mr. Ace Cadet here has to be like,
We'll buy everyone some time to escape.
12 seconds later.
and then maybe kind of actually just fucking dies? I don't know if he's gonna be rescued at the last minute, but it would be kind of fitting for Fatalis to take out one of at least the more recurring characters, really raise the stakes.
Thanks, Commander.
And it does seem like they are fortifying the area. While it is the original zone redone, they are definitely adding to it these extra little constructions. You can see the normal old double Dragonator behind this newer wall. The guild are calling this a large-scale operation. They're clearly really going all out here, because we can't just leave it there. Despite wherever Fatalis be, and we've only seen him be in Schrade, his natural habitat unknown, despite where he live being a wasteland, not a living thing stirring for miles around, because all monsters, large and small, have a sense, a almost sixth Fatalis sense, and that sense tells them,
Stay the hell away from Fatalis or you will die!
Because he hates everything. All life. He especially hates humans, and he does not forgive, he does not forget. He is more intelligent by far than any given human, and he, well, is the definition of kill on sight. So the decision has been made to take the fight to him, because quite frankly he's too dangerous to be left up to his own devices, and at the very least this way the guild can dictate the course of the battle. At least when they're attacking, they are not going to be surprised. Though, then again...
Hang on. No way!
Why is the handler even here? Like, what? So of course then, this raises a lot of questions. What exactly is Fatalis doing reappearing? Is it no longer canon that we killed this Fatalis way back in OG Monster Hunter? Or is this a second Fatalis, a new Fatalis, that could justify his undoubted moveset change and rework that he will get as an Iceborne monster, but it is the exact same location we fight the first ever Fatalis, the same armaments, the same heart of dead Castle Schrade. Now, the old Fatalis fight was, let's just say, a little bit on the, awful side. He was slow, he had like 4 attacks. They were cool at the time, don't get me wrong, and he was awe-inspiring at the time. He was the only full-on, dragony dragon that was in Monster Hunter, your classic 4 legs, 2 wings. But he basically just killed you by moving slightly while you were a bit close, and then that would do 80% of your health, and you'd spend most of your time incredibly frustrated. So obviously I am excited for him to both be more fun and a lot more difficult, or at least more difficult in actual, satisfying, meaningful ways. And there's not much we can really glean from the fight. It seems like he's going to have a new sort of super move where he goes really up in the air and completely bathes the battlefield in flame, but then again, could just be reading into his little introductory cinematics that we are going to be treated to. At the very least, it would be a thematic move to have, because one of the legends of Fatalis is that if he so choose, he could raise the entire world in glorious hellfire in but 3 days, rendering it, well, a ball of crisp cinders. Though that would seem a little bit far-fetched. It's also really nice that his wings are somewhat, well, the right size for his body. So yeah, that's cool. He looks so good. Fatalis is said to be unkillable. He will grow back from a single scale. If you wear his armor, you will go insane. Hunters wearing his armor report deeply disturbing nightmares. They have strength, sure, but it's just not natural. They feel like there is something tugging at their consciousness. They can feel a pulse from each and every fiber that makes up their equipment, their legs taken over, and eventually the armor itself seals you in, slowly growing over you and driving you to leave in the dead of night, never to be seen again. And some say hunters that have met this fate have literally turned into new Fatalis. Fatalis is also said to have a very interesting, nasty habit of taking hunters that he defeats, which is, let's be honest, all of them. Many skilled hunters have sought to challenge it, but none ever return. And, well, what he does with those hunters is a little bit of a taste of our own medicine. He takes them, melts them down onto his own hide, adding to his already nigh impenetrable scales that repel even purple sharpness when he's a little bit ticked off, and he gains the power from doing so. He wears hunters as armor and gets skill bonuses if you want to look at it mechanically. And this I actually find fascinating, because while this was always a legend, does he actually do this? They have very much alluded to the fact that Fatalis' set bonus is going to be every skill secret activated, so you can just put your decorations in and grab the ones that you want and make some funky, ridiculous combinations. But if he is indeed just taking a multitude of different hunters that he has slain over the years and melted them on, it would explain why he is every skill Fatalis. I think that is a really lovely way to tie in that story when it comes to him. And he doesn't do this as kind of an instinctual thing. He chooses to do it. It almost is like a mockery of the hunters. It's proof of his intelligence that he's even thought about it, but it's also proof of how deeply he will never forgive humans, how much he will never let his hatred calm. It's almost like it is punishment for the ancient civilization's greatest crimes against the dragons. One building a tower, and for the mortar, the cement, well, the bodies of hundreds of elder dragons were ground down as paste. And of course, for the equal dragon weapon, a absolute monstrosity, a horror, aberration, a twisting of nature, fusing dragon parts from different species with a technology of the time, a technology that we still fall so short of in current hunting timelines. They twisted the spirits of so many dragons in an attempt to make something that could conquer all of them, though it never, ever was activated. And it is almost a shame that that doesn't get to come back. However, the actual monster himself, let's look at him as a creature, because look, as much as the fairy tale is fun, he is an animal. Powerful, very, very powerful, but animal still. He has fire that makes Teostras and Lunastras look like a small candle. In fact, his fire is the hottest fire in all of Monster Hunter. He has the most intense flames that burn the brightest. He has a physical strength to, well, as you saw, destroy walls with absolute ease just by kind of going near them.
Here's Fatalis!
I mean, he's a dangerous first-class monster along with Elatrion and Diamorales for a reason, but he stands atop them both. An adept flyer and at high speeds, though this is never really seen in-game too much. The closest is White Fatalis flying off into the wormhole. He does that quite gracefully, but most flying attacks he's very slow and sluggish, though this is quite likely just a gameplay restriction with the technology at the time. The bottom line here is there is no monster worse than Fatalis. He is a threat not to the entire guild, but to the entire human race, the entire Wyverian race, to every other monster too. Discovery of one, or supposedly the resurgence of one in Schrade, is quite possibly the most devastating awful thing that can happen in the Monster Hunter world. But it is also the ultimate goal for a hunter. Many have tried to take down a Fatalis, none have succeeded, at least canonically, but doing so would have you go down in history as the most legendary hunter of all time. Everything surrounding the Schrade Kingdom and Fatalis has been hushed from the public. The Hunters Guild has classified it. It is hidden. And that very much goes hand in hand with what happened with the Third Fleet Master, with her being told to not spread research about Elatron as another black dragon because it unlocks something much worse, i.e. Fatalis. It really is kind of all coming together full circle. And there really is no better way to cap off Iceborne than with such a fight. Actually getting to experience Fatalis at a strength that will match the stories that precede him. It should be a fight that is terrifying and incredibly punishing, but also so very awe-inspiring. And I personally cannot wait to be a part of it. There is something just so, well, good about Fatalis as a monster, as a creature, as an icon of the story of Monster Hunter, and now we get to experience him in the closest vision to what the developers always wanted him to be. And I don't know about you guys, but I just, you know, there's no other way to say it than that kind of noise. I also cannot wait to see if we get any new lore tidbits from this happening. Getting to explore a slice of Schrade and having it be so detailed is so exciting. The commander talking about what happened here, the actual battle for Schrade, Fatalis wiping it out, saying how they just were outmatched, they couldn't handle it. It's also really nice to see some guild knights flanking the general as his own personal bodyguard. They're the same guild knights that get sent after you if you go rogue and start hunting monsters that have not been approved to be hunted by the guild. There's just so much goodness that is wrapped up in this update, and we've only been shown a little bit of a preview snippet of it, and that is really, really exciting. So let me know what you guys think then. Are you, well, hype? I imagine you most certainly are. And to be fair, this little snippet doesn't look exactly like the zone that we're used to fighting him in the old game, so perhaps it is a multi-tiered fight, and eventually you just end up in the old one after actually combating through a section of Schrade itself, but I might just be getting ahead of myself. The point here is you need to understand that Fatalis is, as I said, the monster of monsters. He is the dragon, the black dragon, and he is the sternest test of any hunter in the entirety of the Monster Hunter world. There is nothing greater, nothing harder, nothing more fearsome. There is nothing more deadly to the existence of life itself than Fatalis. And we have to stand up and put an end to him in order to put an end to Iceborne. Yes, I know about Crimson Fatalis and White Fatalis, and technically they are powerfuler because there's the species of Fatalis, White Fatalis and Ancient Fatalis that's mastered its powers and dragon lightning and all of that stuff, but, you know, for all intents and purposes, Fatalis is Fatalis, and, you know, this all applies to Fatalis in general, so it's okay. And with all that said then, like if you've enjoyed this, let me know how you're feeling, and I'll see you next time. Subscribe for more. Goodbye.
Rage Gaming with the video float.
But that's all that's really relevant at the mo, but I'm still gonna leave this up so you patrons know that I love you even though the outro's no longer that kinda relevant. But the new one's being worked on and it's gonna be a truly badass song, and don't worry, I won't be doing any rapping on it. I'm gonna go now. This was shit.